He told me he couldn't handle the pressure, then walked out the same week our son was diagnosed. While I juggled hospital visits, bills and sleepless nights, he was posting beach selfies with the woman he swore was just a friend. I thought that was rock bottom. Turns out, it was just the beginning, because life had something waiting for me. I still remember the exact moment I knew I'd be raising my son alone. It wasn't dramatic. No yelling, no doors slamming. Just a quiet click of the front door and the soft hum of the refrigerator. My son Micah was in the hospital. And my husband, well, ex-husband now, was gone. He left a note. Not even a handwritten one. A text. "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. I'm drowning." I reread it 3 times, as if it would magically change into something else. Something softer. It didn't. Micah had just been diagnosed with leukemia 2 weeks earlier. He was 6. Bright-eyed. Obsessed with dinosaurs and building things with cardboard. One day, he had a fever that wouldn't go down. The next, we were on a roller coaster of blood tests, lumbar punctures, and words I had to Google between sobs in the hospital bathroom. Before the diagnosis, Jason, my ex, was already drifting. I just didn't want to admit it. He started coming home late from work. Said he was stressed. Started sleeping in the guest room, because your tossing keeps me up. When Micah got sick, he acted supportive. For about a week. Then the excuses started. He couldn't take off work. Needed space to think. Said he'd visit after his meetings. Eventually, he just didn't. The morning after I got that text, I sat in the plastic chair beside Micah's hospital bed and stared at the wall until the sun came up. Nurses came and went. Micah stirred and asked for juice. I smiled, because that's what you do when your child is sick, you don't show the cracks. But I was breaking inside. I told Micah his dad was taking a little break. He didn't ask questions. I think in some intuitive kid way he already knew. 1 month later. The thing about hospitals is that they make time feel thick. Like wading through syrup. Micah started chemo. His hair began falling out in patches. He got moody. His appetite disappeared, and so did his giggles. But he was strong. Stronger than I ever thought a 6-year-old could be. He told me not to cry in front of him because he didn't want me to get sad and sick too. Meanwhile, Jason was off living his new life, which I only discovered by accident when one of his co-workers messaged me on Facebook. "I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but Jason's been seeing someone from our office." It started before Micah got sick. I didn't reply. Just stared at her message, heart thudding, and then clicked on the woman's profile. She was younger. Pretty in that overly filtered Instagram way. Her name was Callie. And 3 weeks after Jason left, they were tagged at a beach resort in the Bahamas. The caption read, "Learning to love and breathe again #new beginnings #soulmates." Soulmates. While his son was hooked up to an 4. I never threw my phone before, but that night I did. It bounced off the hospital cot and hit the floor with a soft thud. Micah didn't wake up. Thank God. I didn't respond to Jason's texts after that. There weren't many. Mostly half-hearted check-ins like, "How's Micah?" and "I'll try to visit next week." He never did. About 2 months into Micah's treatment, I bumped into someone I hadn't seen in years. His name was Jonah. We went to high school together. He'd been a couple grades above me. Back then, he was a quiet art kid with shaggy hair and a sketchpad always under his arm. I had a tiny crush on him, but he barely knew I existed. He was in the hospital lobby when I walked in, arms full of coffee trays. I must have looked like hell, wrinkled hoodie, unwashed hair in a bun, eyes ringed in fatigue. "Clara," he said, surprised. "Hey." I blinked. It took me a second to place him. "Jonah." We caught up in those awkward stilted bits you do when life has aged you more than you expected. He was there visiting his niece, who just had surgery. He handed me a coffee without asking. I nearly cried. After that, we started seeing each other in the lobby more often. Sometimes it was planned. Sometimes we just happened to be there. He always brought an extra coffee. Sometimes a granola bar. He never asked too much. Just listened. One day, Micah met him. He was in a better mood and had enough energy to walk to the playroom. Jonah offered to tag along. Micah was wary at first, but Jonah started drawing dinosaurs with him. Within 10 minutes, they were deep in a debate about whether the T-Rex could swim. Later that night, Micah asked, "Is he your friend?" I said yes. He nodded seriously. "He's nice. He listens." Kids always know. Jonah didn't try to fix anything. He didn't ask why Jason wasn't around, or what happened between us. He just showed up. And that meant more than I can put into words. I started to laugh again. Just little things. Sarcastic comments during hospital cafeteria dinners. A smile when he showed up with a dinosaur sticker pack for Micah. A sigh of relief when I realized I wasn't constantly bracing for disappointment. One day, I got a call from Jason. I almost didn't answer, but some twisted part of me wanted to know what he could possibly say now. "Hey," he said. "I was thinking maybe I could take Micah for a weekend. You could use a break." It took me a beat to respond. "A weekend? You haven't seen him in 4 months." I know. I've just been dealing with stuff. But I'm ready now." "Ready?" I said, laughing bitterly. "This isn't a treadmill you hop on when it suits you. He's a kid, not a vacation." Jason got defensive. Said I was being unfair. That I was keeping his son from him. That Callie was willing to step up too, and it wasn't like I was alone. That last part made me hang up. I wasn't alone. But not because of him. Looking back, I think the worst part of Jason leaving wasn't just that he walked out when Micah needed him most. It's that he made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like we weren't enough. But slowly, I started realizing that we were. Micah and I made it through the worst days with little more than hope, sticker charts, and the kindness of strangers turned friends. He started responding well to treatment. His hair began growing back. The color returned to his cheeks. And Jonah? He stuck around. He was there for Micah's first post-chemo soccer game, bundled in a scarf, cheering louder than anyone. He helped me move out of the apartment Jason and I used to share. He painted Micah's new room dinosaur green and taught him how to hang glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. He wasn't trying to replace anyone. He just showed up. I didn't fall in love in some dramatic movie scene moment. It happened slowly. Watching Jonah braid Micah's hair when he insisted on growing it long. Seeing them build a birdhouse together on a warm spring afternoon. The way he always looked at me like I mattered, even when I was exhausted, cranky, or emotionally checked out. Somehow, after all the dust settled, we weren't broken anymore. We were just beginning. I didn't expect the letter. It came in a plain white envelope, no return address. Just my name in Jason's sharp handwriting. I sat at the kitchen table, Jonah in the backyard with Micah, the sound of distant laughter drifting through the screen door. I stared at the envelope for a while before opening it. Some part of me wanted to throw it away unopened. But curiosity, or maybe closure, won out. The letter was short. "Clara, I know I messed up. There's no excuse, but I wanted you to know that I regret walking away. I thought leaving would make everything easier. It didn't. It just made me feel small. Callie and I broke up. It wasn't what I thought it would be. I've been doing therapy. Trying to be better. I'd like to see Micah again, if he wants that. I understand if you don't want to hear from me. But I had to say something. Jason. No demands. No pleas. Just guilt. Maybe a little hope. It didn't make me angry. Not anymore. I felt something closer to apathy. I didn't show Micah the letter. Not then. He'd stopped asking about his dad months ago. When kids learn silence around certain subjects, it's because they've already been disappointed. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I put the letter in the back of a drawer and made lasagna for dinner. A few weeks after the letter, Micah brought up Jason for the first time in what felt like forever. We were in the car, driving home from a friend's birthday party. "Mom," he asked quietly, "why did Dad leave?" I took a breath. "That's a hard question, buddy. I just want to know if it was my fault." My heart dropped. "No, never. Nothing about what happened was your fault. Your dad was overwhelmed. Some people don't know how to be strong when it matters most. But that's not on you." Micah looked out the window, nodding slowly. "Okay. You can ask me anything anytime," I added. "I won't lie to you, even when it's hard." He nodded again. "Do you think he misses me?" I thought about that for a long moment. "Yeah," I said. "I think he probably does." Micah didn't say anything else the rest of the ride, but he held my hand as we walked to the front door. Tighter than usual. That night, after he was asleep, I pulled out the letter and reread it. Then I sent Jason a short message. "Micah asked about you. I'm not making promises, but maybe a video call sometime. Just you and him." Jason responded within minutes. "Thank you. I'll be ready." We set it up on a Sunday afternoon. Jonah was out walking the dog, giving us privacy. Micah sat on the couch, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt while I logged into the call. Jason's face appeared on the screen, slightly pixelated, older. a little gaunt. His hair was shorter, beard thicker. He looked nervous. "Hey Micah," he said softly. Micah looked at me, then at the screen. "Hi." Jason tried to smile. "You've grown. You look so much older." Micah didn't say anything for a beat. Then bluntly he asked, "Why did you leave?" Jason flinched. "That's a fair question. I don't have a good answer. I was scared. I made the wrong choice." Micah just nodded. "Okay." That was it. No tears. No shouting. Just a quiet acknowledgement. They talked for maybe 10 more minutes, about school, his favorite video game, how many dinosaur books he'd read. When the call ended, Micah closed the laptop and walked to the kitchen. "Can we have pizza for dinner?" "Sure," I said, watching him. He seemed lighter. Not happy exactly, but unburdened. That night, he drew a picture of A.T. Rex and labeled it "Brave Like Me." I kept it. It's funny how the heart heals in ways you don't expect. Jonah and I had been dancing around the "are we or aren't we" for months. Sharing space, sharing care, sharing quiet little smiles across takeout containers and shared laundry days. But we hadn't put a name to it. One night, after putting Micah to bed, I found Jonah sitting on the back porch, legs stretched out, a book in his lap. The air was cool. Fireflies blinked across the lawn. I sat next to him. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Better than I thought I'd be." We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, "You don't have to say anything. But I want you to know, I love being here. With both of you. And I'm not going anywhere." I looked at him. Really looked. Kind eyes. Weathered hands. A small paint smear on his shirt from working on Micah's desk earlier. "I know," I said. "And I think I've been falling for you for a long time. I just didn't want to break it by naming it." He smiled. "You couldn't. We didn't rush anything. That wasn't us." But that night, he kissed me for the first time. Slow. Gentle. Certain. It felt like home. Jason started sending cards. Birthday cards. A small Lego set. A couple of books. All addressed directly to Micah. He video called once a month. Never overstepping. Sometimes Micah wanted to talk. Sometimes he didn't. Jason never pushed. He apologized again, more directly, during one of those calls. Said he couldn't undo the damage, but he was trying to be better for himself, even if we never let him back in fully. I think that mattered to Micah more than any gift. One day, after a call, Micah asked, "Do you think people can change?" I paused. "I think they can if they really want to. But it takes time. And it takes showing up." He nodded. "Jonah always shows up." I smiled. "Yeah, he does." Micah tilted his head. "Is he your boyfriend?" I laughed. "I think so. Would that be okay?" He shrugged. "I like him. He's good at dinosaurs." High praise. Grief doesn't just come when people die. Sometimes, it comes when the life you imagined disappears. When the person you loved turns into a stranger. When you have to rebuild from ash and pain and single mom exhaustion. But joy sneaks in too. Through shared coloring books. Through quiet strength. Through someone who brings you coffee without being asked, week after week, until it becomes something more. I don't hate Jason. Not anymore. I think he hated himself enough for both of us for a while. And that's his to deal with. But I don't owe him anything. Not a second chance. Not my son's peace of mind. We're building something new now. Me, Micah, and Jonah. Not perfect. Not without scars. But real. And enough. The first time Micah called Jonah Dad, it slipped out so casually it made my heart stop. We were in the driveway, getting ready for a weekend hike. Jonah was strapping the cooler into the trunk. I was double-checking sunscreen and bug spray. Micah came barreling down the steps, holding his hat, and shouted, "Dad, do we have granola bars?" Jonah paused, mid-buckle. Looked at me. I looked at him. Micah didn't seem to notice. He was already halfway into the car. Later that night, after Micah had fallen asleep in the back seat on the ride home, Jonah said, "Did you hear what he called me?" "Yeah," I said, my voice quiet. "I did." I didn't want to make it a thing. It doesn't have to be. He knows who shows up. Jonah smiled a little at that. It means a lot. But I'll follow his lead. And he did. He always did. Micah started using Dad every so often. Not all the time. But more often than not. Jonah never corrected him. Just wore it like a gentle badge, earned, not assumed. I told Jason. Out of respect, mostly. He didn't lash out or get defensive. Just sighed. I understand, he said. I lost that right when I left. I'm glad he has someone good. It was the most mature thing he'd said in a long time. It was part of a class assignment. Write a letter to someone who makes your life better. Micah chose Jonah. He handed it to him one evening, over dinner. Crayoned letters on lined paper. Misspellings and all. Dear Jonah. Thank you for always being there. You are nice and you play with me and make pancakes. I like when you make the Dino voices. You are my safe grown-up. I hope we can live together forever. Love, Micah. Jonah read it twice before blinking hard and pulling Micah into a hug. Forever sounds pretty good to me, he said. Jonah proposed in the most Jonah way possible. No big speech, no flash mob, no ring and a cupcake. Just the two of us in the kitchen, late at night, a sink full of dishes, music low in the background. He dried his hands, reached into his hoodie pocket, and pulled out a small box. I don't want to rush you. I know this wasn't part of your plan. But if you feel the same way I do, I'd love to make this official. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't moved, but because I was calm. Certain. Ready. Yeah, I said, voice steady. I'd marry you tomorrow. We told Micah the next morning over cereal. He grinned so hard I thought his cheeks would cramp. Can I be the ring guy? He asked. You're the best man, Jonah said. Micah's eyes lit up. Can I wear a cape? We told him we'd think about it. He wore the cape. We didn't have a huge wedding. Just close friends, a few family members, a grassy backyard, and Micah tossing dandelions instead of flower petals. Jonah's vows were short. So were mine. But they were honest. Micah stood between us during the ceremony, clutching a small plastic T-Rex in one hand and the rings in the other. He kept nudging Jonah's leg to remind him which hand the ring went on. It was chaos and joy and perfectly us. Jason didn't come. He wasn't invited. I don't think he expected to be. We still keep boundaries. He calls Micah every month. Sends birthday gifts. Asks for updates. It's polite. Civil. Distant. That's all it ever needs to be. Some people want reconciliation stories to end with everyone reunited and healed. But the truth is, healing doesn't always mean returning to what broke you. Sometimes it means outgrowing the version of yourself that allowed it. I was so scared when Jason left. Not just because I felt abandoned, but because I didn't know who I was without him. Now I do. I'm a mother. A partner. A woman who survived the worst nights of her life and still got up to make breakfast the next morning. I don't need revenge or apologies or closure wrapped in a neat bow. I have peace. I have love. I have a family. And that's more than enough. The other day, I found Micah and Jonah in the garage. They were building something with leftover wood scraps, Micah hammering a little too hard, Jonah guiding his hand gently. What's it gonna be? I asked, leaning on the doorframe. A dinosaur birdhouse, Micah said, very serious. So birds know it's cool here. Jonah smiled. We figured even the sparrows should have a safe place. I watched them, sunlight streaming in, sawdust floating like lazy fireflies. Yeah. We built something better than I ever imagined. And it's strong enough to last.